DreAllDay.com.
What would your clone do? You all may remember years ago, maybe in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, a lot of people were walking around wearing these bracelets that said WWJD. What would Jesus do? So today, we're going to say, what would your clone do? Now, I'm not saying that your clone is Jesus. What I'm saying is, what I'm going to say here in today's episode. What this episode is all about is what you could get done if you had a clone of yourself who was basically required by you, because they're your clone. So basically just consider them a robot. Think of like DreGPT, which you get access to when you're a member of the circle inside of Work on Your Game University. But imagine if DreGPT was actually a robot, like an actual human being, and not just a bot that you could talk to that could talk to you, but could actually not only tell you the shit to do, but actually fucking do the shit. And it was a copy of you. Imagine if you had one of those and it did everything that you knew you needed to do, but you right now are not fucking doing it. You could just tell your clone to do it. So you could still be lazy. Just tell your clone to do all those things, as if you basically had a robot slave doing everything you wanted it to do, and it was working for you, and it was required to do it, and there was no question, no equivocation, no I'll do it later, no I don't feel like it. It would do it when, where, and how you told it to do it. In other words, what we're going to discuss here today is what your life would be like if you took everything you knew you were supposed to do and you actually fucking did it. That's what we're going to talk about. All right. How does that sound good? How does that sound to everybody here today? That's what we're going to discuss. I'm going to paint a picture for what your life would look like, and we're going to decide. You're going to decide, really. I'm saying we, but I really mean you. You are going to decide if it's worth it. If you actually had a clone that could do all these things I'm going to lay out here today. So I'm going to paint a picture. You're going to fill the picture in, and you're going to decide if you want to follow that. You hear those little beeps? That was me. That was my Instagram story, because I was recording a clip of myself talking while I was just saying that little piece there, and Instagram beeps out curse words. So curse words don't get beeped out on the podcast, but Instagram story beeps out cuss words. But fuck it, we curse as much as we want here on the Work on Your Game Masterclass, because we get real here. Point number one, today's topic once again, what would your clone do? Number one, imagine that you clone yourself and you could boss that clone around on what to do. I already gave you this introduction. So you have a copy of yourself. Physically, they're the same person, same age, same background, same knowledge, same experiences, same everything. Physically, they're just a copy. No one could tell the difference between you and them. All right, they're like identical twins, okay? How much faster would the clone execute compared to how you execute? These are questions I just want you to think about. These are rhetorical questions from me to you, because I don't need you to answer to me, but you're going to take these questions and you're going to repeat them back to yourself. And when you repeat them back to yourself, they are not rhetorical questions. They are questions that you need to actually answer. So whatever the opposite of a rhetorical question is, one that you actually need to answer is that. All right, let's find out what that is. Because actually, I want to know. Because I often throw around that term. And since I just mentioned Chat GPT, interesting thing, sometimes I'm in this. Let me see if I can get back to where I was. Okay. What is the opposite of a rhetorical question? One that you are not asking for an answer for, but just posing. But the question that you actually do want an answer to, what is that called? So let's find out here. So I'm going to learn something new right here in the midst of helping you learn some new things. I'm going to help you figure something out. So it's just called a direct question or a genuine question. So there's no fancy term for it. So rhetorical is one that doesn't expect an answer. A direct question or a genuine question actually is wanting an answer, or some call it a information seeking question. I think we'll just go with direct question. Okay, so it's not a rhetorical question, it's a direct question. When you ask yourself, how much faster would you execute? Out of everything that I could say here today, is the biggest challenge that most people have that they could immediately fix if you had a clone operating on your behalf and you could just tell the clone what to do. Guarantee you the first thing most of you have your clone do is all the shit that you need to do. It would just do it faster, sooner, and quicker, and finish it faster. All right, that's what your clone would do. If you just had a clone doing that, it would change a whole lot of things for most of you. And when I say doing things faster, I don't necessarily mean instead of it taking you 3 minutes to get from your front door to your car in the morning. I mean, yes, that's part of it. Instead of 3 minutes, you could take a minute and a half, maybe. But I also mean thinking about things sooner, making decisions sooner, and then acting and getting around to doing things sooner. I sent a message to somebody a couple weeks ago from the day that I'm recording this and told them about something that I was doing that I know they were interested in. And they said, give me a couple weeks to think about it. See, that right there? Your clone would not take a couple weeks to think about it. Your clone would think about it for about 10 minutes and then say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. See, that's what I mean when I say speed. So speed does not necessarily mean tactical speed. There are 3 levels of speed. You have tactical speed, which is Just take a regular thing and do it faster. Instead of brushing your teeth for 2 minutes, brush them in 1 minute. That's tactical speed. Then there's strategic speed. Just change the approach of how you're doing things. So instead of taking this route to get to work, it takes 15 minutes. We take a different route, take a couple different streets, and maybe it'll take you 12 minutes. That's strategic speed. You change your strategy to get to the outcome. Wholesale speed is when you flip the entire program of how you are getting things done so that you just change the entire trajectory of the situation. So instead of trying to get to work in 14 minutes or 13 minutes or 12 minutes, how about you just start working from home so there's no commute at all? So now you've eliminated that as even being a problem. You see, that's the difference in speeds. See, what your clone would do was start thinking in wholesale speed and strategic speed, not just tactical speed, but it'll be doing all three at the same time. I guarantee you all of your clones would do that. And all of you would have your clone do it because it's the lowest hanging fruit that most of you have. They would take all the things that you know you need to do, and your clone knows that you're not doing it, that you're talking about doing, that you're thinking about doing, and your clone would have a demand, a mandate from you, that they do it now. Not only do it now, but do it fast while you're doing it now. Do not take breaks in the process of getting it done. And this, amongst many other things, is where artificial intelligence is about to take the jobs of a whole lot of human beings, by the way. All of you human beings who do jobs that simply could be done faster and more efficiently by some type of robot or computer chip, you are in the process of being replaced. I have said in the past, you're about to be replaced. They're already figuring out how to replace you. They just haven't told you yet. All right, you're getting replaced. All right, that's happening. Guaranteed. Artificial intelligence, folks, doesn't take breaks. I was having a conversation with an AI bot yesterday, and I was asking it, how are you able to respond and give feedback to so many different people all at the same time without slowing down or anything like that? And it said, it's because I'm not human. And I don't operate on a human plane. Humans get tired. Humans have a capacity. My capacity is virtually unlimited. They literally told me that. So how are you going to compete with that? Answer is you're not. I've already talked about this many times. So artificial intelligence doesn't take breaks. It does not make mistakes unless a human has programmed it to make mistakes. And it doesn't demand time off the way that a human being does. And if your job is easily duplicatable by anything artificial, you will be duplicated and replaced. Some of you are working jobs that are not easily duplicatable. All right, you are still equally losing every minute that you spend not getting things done as quickly or finishing them as urgently as you could be, which your clone would do. And again, by simply making a demand of yourself the way you would make a demand of your clone, you could probably get things done faster, buy yourself more time, and thus live more life. Where are you allowing yourself the luxury of time and space where you don't really need it? There's a reason why it's called a luxury, folks. It is not a necessity. I told you this already. Denying yourself the luxury of time. If I didn't put that episode out already, I put out so many episodes that sometimes I forget if I talked about this already. I didn't talk about it already, but I will be talking about it soon. Denying yourself the luxury of time just goes under the headline of speed. I talked about speed in episode 3260, the speed of outcome. Talked about those 3 levels of speed in episode 2778. I told you speed increasing habits in episodes 2744 and 2743. In episode 2683, I told you there are only 2 speeds. In episode number 2542, I told you how to slow down to speed up. In episode 2481, I told you how to execute with speed. You see, we talk about speed a lot. Why? Because the faster you move and get things done, the more life you get to live, because you get the same things done in less time, you buy time. Because if you run out of time at the same point, no matter what, you might as well get as many things squeezed into the time that you have as possible. That allows you to live more life, get more experience, and hopefully have a more rich life. And I don't necessarily mean with money or even just with money. Where are you allowing yourself the luxury of time and space when you really don't need time and space? Again, it's called a luxury for a reason, folks. It is extra, gratuitous. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is what would your clone do? Number 2. What excuses or weaknesses would you not tolerate from your clone that you are tolerating from yourself? This is a good introspective, slap myself in the face question that all of you need to be asking yourself. Let me give you the question again. What excuses or weaknesses are you tolerating from yourself that you would not tolerate from your clone? You wouldn't allow your clone to give you that excuse, but when you give yourself the excuse, you're okay with it. Every one of you has an answer to this question. If your clone was working for you, same excuses you give yourself, you wouldn't accept. You would not allow your clone to tell you that if you told it, hey, I need you to get these 4 things done today, it only got 2 of them done, and told you that it didn't finish the other 2 because it got tired or because it needed a break or because it's Saturday or because it's cold outside or its stomach was hurting. All right, you wouldn't accept that from your clone. Why do you accept it from yourself? Depending on your personality, you might fire your clone for doing that. You might smack it around for doing that. You might cuss it out for not doing his job. Or best case scenario, I guess, for your clone, you would think strongly about doing one of these three things. And you would think strongly about, okay, what am I going to do now that I know this clone, this employee that I've hired is untrustworthy because they're not following through on what the hell I tell it to do. You might be thinking about contingency plans. Okay, I might need to fire this clone and get somebody better because obviously this clone is not capable of doing the job that I need done. I'll tell you something, as a person who's hired many people over the years and fired many people over the years, most of the people who have worked for me and left, I fired them. They didn't quit, I fired them. Anytime I thought about firing somebody, I always ended up firing them. I've never thought about firing somebody and then later on and then rethought it and decided not to fire them, and then it ended up being a smart decision. If I think about firing somebody, I might not fire them on the spot, but I end up firing them at some point, and I think to myself, damn, the first time I thought about firing them, I might as well have just done it then. And that's what you're going to think if your clone was to give you the kind of excuses that you give yourself every day. You wouldn't accept it from your clone. Why are you accepting it from yourself? Again, this is a question I'm asking. This is a direct question that you need to answer. These excuses that you tolerate from you would not tolerate if a copy of you gave you the exact same excuse. You would not tolerate this if someone was on your payroll giving you this excuse. So why are you accepting it from yourself? You are paying yourself more than you could pay anybody else. There's no amount of money that can make up for the years of life that are going by when you're delaying and giving yourself excuses for not doing the things that you said you want or need to do. And you're tolerating it. So your payment to you is bigger than any payment you can give to anybody else. There's no amount of dollars that can replace it. But you're accepting it. What would your clone do? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is what would your clone do? Number 3, what mental head trash would you not accept as an explanation for something unstarted, unfinished, or done unsatisfactorily? What mental head trash would you not accept? Would you say, okay, I heard you, but that's not going to suffice as an answer? You can't do that. Everything we talked about today really comes down to this point right here, the head trash, so to speak, that a lot of people carry around in the form of unproductive thoughts, bad ideas, useless belief systems that stop you from engaging what we talked about in points number 1 and point number 2. Point number 1 and number 2, moving with more speed, getting things done that you told yourself you're going to get done. Head trash is the only thing that stops you from doing those things. If you had no head trash, you would just do what you were told. And all of you know what it feels like to not have head trash, ironically enough, because all of you who are listening to this have probably at some point been in a situation where someone else had the authority to tell you what to do and you didn't really have the authority to push back. Whether that was a parent, whether it was a teacher, whether it was a sports coach, or it was a boss or supervisor at work, they told you to get something done. Even if it seemed like an insurmountable task, you found a way to get it done because you understood you kind of had to get it done. Therefore, even if you had head trash, you did not allow the head trash to have a say in whether or not you got things done because you understood that I kind of have to get this done. So I can have this head trash. My stomach can hurt. My back can bother me. It can be cold outside, but damn it, I still got to get these things done. See, that's how you operate when the head trash doesn't matter, whether you have it or not. Ideally, you don't have any head trash, but even if you did, if something is important enough, the head trash doesn't have a say in the conversation. And again, all of you have been in a situation where the head trash didn't have a say in the conversation. Regardless of what it wanted to say, it did not matter because you still had to get done what you were assigned to get done. Does everybody understand this? Does everybody concur that you have experienced this? Of course. If you had a clone working for you, would you accept head trash as an excuse by your clone? The answer is no, you would not. So the question is, why do you accept it from you? A lot of us carry around unproductive thoughts, ideas, and belief systems that get in your way and keep you from doing what we've been talking about so far. Your clone, who is operating on your behalf, if they showed up to you with some head trash excuse, what would you say to your clone if they told you some head trash excuse? I'll tell you what I say to my clone is bullshit. I don't hear this shit. Do what I told you to do. It's the same thing that I say to myself. Oh, your stomach hurts, so what? All right, we got something that needs to be done, and you got 15 minutes to get this finished. We're on a deadline. Get it done. That's the way you need to be able to talk to yourself. I'm not saying you got to talk to yourself like this all the time, but maybe you should. Try it. We'll see how it goes. Try it for a day and see what changes. Same things that you would say to your clone are things you need to start saying or remembering to say to yourself. And if you want to get some help with this, good news. I created a chatbot called DreGPT. It is 24/7 access to my mind, my brain, my system, the way that I talk. If you like the way I talk here on this show, guess what? DreGPT is trained on the things that I've said over the history of this show. 3,000 episodes. You probably can't remember everything that I've said on the show, but artificial intelligence can remember it, and my DreGPT chatbot is trained on everything that I've ever said here. So if you ask it a question, it can dig into the mind of how it's been trained, which is on all my material, and it's like you have access to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no breaks, no vacations. So if you don't have access to DreGPT, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can get into the circle, and there you have automatic, immediate, no additional costs, access to DreGPT. It will help you with this in a serious way and in an immediate way. And we give you about 100 different prompts that you can start using right now to have DreGPT help you. So you don't have to just look at it and figure out what do I say to it. We tell you what to say to it. We not even jog your memory. We help you get started by showing you some ways that you can ask it questions to have it help you. All you have to do is tell it what head trash you're currently working with and see what it has to say back to you. All right, you want to get an example? Let's get an example. I wish I had a live audience here so I could ask you all about head trash that some of you have, because I know a bunch of you have some head trash. But let me just see one of them. All right, let's see right here. All right. So I want you to imagine that I am a user of DreGPT who just joined the circle in Work on Your Game University. And Dre just gave me the assignment of going to you to help me clear out the head trash, i.e. the mental excuses and rationalizations that I share with myself to give myself excuses to not get done the things I'm supposed to get done. So let's just say, for example, that my head trash today, this is me talking to DreGPT, has the excuse that my stomach hurts and my back is bothering me, therefore I'm not going to go to the gym and do my workout. What do you, DreGPT, say back to me when I give you that excuse? Okay, so this is me talking to DreGPT, and now we're going to see what DreGPT has to say about all of that. And by the way, you can speak to it just like I just did, so you don't have to type everything out. So here's what DreGPT says. You want to hear what it says? Here's what it says. It says, that stomach and back pain, that is your excuse, not your reality. You're not skipping the gym because your body's failing. You're skipping because your standard is soft. You're letting comfort call the shots instead of commitment. This is where we separate amateurs from pros. Pros don't need to feel good to do their job. They do it regardless of how they feel. This is commandment number 9, the 3rd day commandment. That's one of the Work on Your Game commandments. It's easy to show up when it's sunny and you're hype. But the 3rd day is when you show up in the dark, the cold, and when you're sore, and you still do the work. You said you were serious. You said you had goals. Well, goals don't care about your stomach. Discipline ain't about how you feel. It's about what you do. So the question is not, do I feel like it? The question is, who am I choosing to be today? The pro or the punk? Get to the gym. Modify the workout if you need to, but don't stay home. That's how weak days become weak weeks. Move. Close quote. So that's DreGPT right there. So and if you want to know what DreGPT is like, there I just gave you an example. Now again, the quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. So depending on what you ask, you get different answers. You get access to all of that again inside the circle. We'll get to that in a second. So all you have to do is tell it what head trash you're currently carrying around, as I just said, and DreGPT will tell you what it has to say about that head trash and how you need to deal with it. And your clone will not allow the bullshit. And DreGPT will help you out with that. You can even tell it the situation you're dealing with, and it'll help you out even more. All that being said, let's recap today's class, which is, what would your clone do? Number 1, imagine you clone yourself and you could boss your clone around on what to do. How much faster would you execute? We could just start with that. That right there would be a game changer for a lot of you, is just to execute with more speed. Many of you are just too damn slow. You're slow to think, you're slow to decide, and you are slow to implement. If you just change that and your clone helped you, a lot of things in your life will change immediately. Point number 2, what excuses or weaknesses would you no longer tolerate? If you had a clone working for you, the same excuses you give yourself now, you would not tolerate anymore. Again, why are you tolerating them now? And number 3, what mental head trash would you no longer accept as an explanation for something unstarted, unfinished, or done unsatisfactorily? All of you have answers to this question. Why are you accepting the nonsense from yourself you wouldn't accept it from anyone else? Again, get into the DreGPT access, which you will get as a member of the circle inside of Work on Your Game University. That link is down below in the description, or just simply go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all